inspiration, motivation, or hope? Do you let fear hold you back? Sometimes you feel lost or just stuck in your own thoughts, and you want a clear path to give you results. Then, my friend, you are in the right place. My name is Rachel Best, and I am your host of How to Make a Mark in the World, Finding Your Signature. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take notes. Welcome back, my friends. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Daniel Gomez, and I am going to let him introduce who are you and what is it that you do?
Man, Rachel Best, I'm excited to be on your podcast. How to leave your mark in the world. Woo! I'm here with you. Daniel Gomez is just, you know what? I'm a guy that likes to have a lot of fun. I love to help people develop their millionaire mind and really believe it for themselves. But even more important than that, 5 years ago, my life was turned upside down. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I thought I had it all together. And I left my career. I left what I knew, what I was familiar with, to take care of my wife. And little did I know that God was going to bring me on this amazing journey to meet amazing people like yourself. And I became this motivational speaker, author, podcaster, business coach. And now we're doing amazing things around the world where it's really about you, right? It's really about adding value to people all over the world. So that's who Daniel Gomez is. And our brand is the makings of a millionaire mind. And little shield back here, it's Daniel Gomez Inspired is my motivational speaking brand. So just about adding value to people. That's who I am. That's what I do.
Yes, and you and your wife do such an amazing job at it. I have been honored to come to a few of Daniel's speaking engagements, as well as him and his wife's conference. And I've read his book and I've done his course, and him and his wife, they're just such inspirations. You guys are so awesome, and you just love people and pour into people. And what I love most about you guys is you guys just believe in people, and you do add so much value. So tell us.
I like what you said, right? Because all you need is one person to believe in you. And I thank you for recognizing that, because there was a time in my life where they didn't believe in me, right? People laughed. People thought I was crazy. Think about it. I left a career in the automotive industry, running multi-million-dollar dealerships, making really, really good money, well over six figures. And when I was sharing with some friends that were close to me, they're like, "You think you can do that?" And sometimes it's just, you just need one person to buy into your dream with you. But I think what I want your audience to hear about that, because is that you got to believe in your dream when nobody believes in your dream.
That's good. That's powerful. That's powerful, because that's really where it starts. We have to believe in ourselves to even pursue the dream before it could even come to pass. And so, Daniel, tell us, how are you guys leaving your mark in the world? What does that mean to you? When people hear your name, what does leaving a mark in the world mean to you? What do you want them to think about?
Well, I think you did that for me today already, in this episode. Just coming to our events, and really nothing brings me joy when we see our clients, our attendees at our events succeed. And I wish everybody would succeed. I wish 100% people would succeed when they come and they engage with Daniel, whether they read a book or come to our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy or our Makings of a Millionaire Mind Bootcamp. But leaving my mark is seen. The other day I was there and I was asleep, and then my wife goes, "Did you see that?" I was like, "What?" She's like, Monty goes, "Did you see Rachel Best's post?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "No." I said, "I was asleep." She's like, "She's having a little conference." I'm like, "Praise God, she's having a conference." And it just brought me so much joy. And that's what it's about. For me, it's helping people leave their mark in the world, right? I have a footprint in, by God's grace, it's continuing to grow every single day, every single month, every single year. But it's really seeing the Rachel Best of the world, who you help. And, with your book coming out, with your podcast launching, and then you have the confidence to take on this event of yourself. That's leaving the mark. Helping people leave the mark is my mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it does. It does. And it's so amazing that you get to to do that, and that you do give that inspiration to just help people. And so, like, over the last 5 years, you touched a little bit about your wife and going through cancer, and that's where all of this birthed out of. And so go back there and just kind of share with us, the kind of the path and a little bit of the road of how this all came about, and just share a little bit.
Well, it wasn't pretty. Everybody
What's that?
sees I said it wasn't pretty. And what I mean
Mm,
by that is, think about, I'm going to use the house as an analogy. There's a time when a house, as it gets dated, you have to clean out the inside, right? You can't have shaggy green carpet from the 70s. It just doesn't work. And you can't have certain paint because paint gets older now. They found out lead. So there comes a point sometimes where you have to really just demolish the house and break it down and build new. And I didn't realize that that's what we needed. That's what my wife needed. That's what I needed, right? I thought I was
mm,
this good guy, and I wasn't a bad person, but I just had so much pain inside of me just from childhood and just moving all the time and losing my mom at 10 years old, and then just all these things that were happening, that it's like I didn't realize how much junk I had inside of me. So
mm,
the first part of our journey, it sucked. I'm gonna tell you, right? The
mm,
first part of us helping people leave their mark is we had to deal with Daniel and Madi, and really just break down and start from the ground up and build a new foundation. And
mm,
it's painful because sometimes you got to leave. Well, not you have to leave what you're familiar with. You have to leave those old relationships, and then you have to do the inner work in yourself and forgive yourself, right? I think for me, I carried a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, just regret, decisions that I had made as a leader
mm,
at running a dealership, and just so many things that came to the surface because for so many years I just shoved it underneath the rug. I talk about that in my book, right? The first step in really becoming a millionaire is forgiveness. You got to forgive yourself, because if not, what happens is there's this lid on your life.
mm.
And I had put a lid on my life, and that's why I was stuck. And I was at the point when Marty was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was unhappy. So really, I would say that the first part of that 5 years was really just inner healing, and just really asking God, what is it that you need me to do? What is it that we need to do? And of course, everybody wants the light on them and the success, but it's like, no, dude. So when my business first started, he made me go back. He goes, "You want your business to succeed?" I said, "Yeah, God." He goes, "Good. Go ask Mr. Vada for forgiveness. Go apologize to that man." Because I left the wrong way
Mm,
when I left. Because I left with my
mm,
ego, right? My
yeah.
attitude. So it was real humbling. And I said, "Look, I don't want nothing from you. I just came back to apologize and thank you for what you did for me." And I think if anybody's listening to this right now that really wants a place to start, you got to start in the foundation of your
Mm.
business, of your journey. Because if you don't have the right foundation as you grow, you're going to collapse and you're going to implode on your success.
Wow, that's powerful. So powerful that that, like you said, the forgiveness of yourself and then also to other people. And that's where a lot of that stuff does happen. It just gets squashed down in there, and it just becomes ugly inside, and it creates turmoil inside of you. And so that is such a freeing thing to do, is just to forgive, and then also, like you said, ask for forgiveness, because like you acknowledged and you humbled yourself of where you were wrong. And so, and then after that, is that kind of when everything started like coming
Yeah.
into order?
Yeah. Well, I think I want your audience to hear this, because you have an amazing brand that you're building, how to leave your mark. Most people just want to leave a mark. I don't want
Mm,
to leave a mark. I want to
mm,
leave an imprint. I want to leave a mark so huge that it's passes my lifetime, that it passes
mm,
what I do. It turns into a legacy, and my son and my daughter and just people like yourself are going to leave a footprint, and then you're going to leave a footprint on your children. The mark's going to be there. So I think the
mm,
question that you have to start in the foundation is, if you want to just leave a temporary little mark on the world, well then don't do the work. But if you really want
mm,
to make impact, you have to do the work to leave that huge mark, a global impact, a global mark. And
mm,
I want to challenge your audience. Don't just leave a little baby mark. No, it's bigger than
mm.
your city. It's bigger than your state. Think global. Think, I want to leave a mark so big that it's going to impact the world and generations to come. But that requires you to do that inner work from the beginning.
Mm. Yeah. So you started off with the forgiveness. What other things did you do that you worked on the inside so that you could have a more solid foundation?
Well, I stuck advice, I stuck counsel. I think so many times people try to do it on their own. When
Mm,
people, right, when you want to become this business owner, you want to become an entrepreneur, you have the right intentions, your heart's in the right place, right? God gives you that dream to be this coach or this speaker or whatever it is, to be a real estate broker, own a business. So we leave that 9 to 5 job, but we never, right? We leave that 9 to 5 job physically, but mentally we still think as a 9 to 5er.
mm,
And we try to do it by ourselves. And no, see, I was blessed enough to, when I left the automotive dealership, running multi-million-dollar dealerships, I had that business behind me, right? I had that business savvy because we had 100 employees. I was in charge of inventory. I was in charge of employees. Like, I had a lot of responsibility, and I went to school for that, right? To the dealership school, but it was so much business that I already had. So when I transitioned, it's like people said, "How are you doing it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm honestly, Rich, I say this with all, like, I was ignorant because I thought everybody was getting paid to speak. I thought everybody was making 100,000 because I was doing it.
mm,
And the thing is, even though I had some success, I said, okay, I need to learn the speaking business. I don't have any idea. So I hired a mentor, I hired a coach. And I had 2 coaches my first year. And I think so many people, they want to figure it out on their own because pride and ego
mm,
gets in the way. No, you have to hire a coach. You have to hire Rachel Best to help you lose the weight. She's already lost the weight, right? She's already doing phenomenal. You have to hire Daniel Gomez because he's already spoken on stage with John Maxwell. He's already spoken on stage
mm,
with Tom Bilyeu, and we've made very successful living just from speaking. And
mm.
then when that happened, it was just like, wow, right? So I said, okay, well, I'm here. And then they said, well, you got to write a book. And I'm like, then I got quotes on books and I had a heart attack. I'm like, what? I went to John Maxwell. I spent money when I didn't, right? People always use the excuse that I can't afford it or it's not the right timing. We use that as an excuse.
Mm,
And when I went to John Maxwell, I was so scared because Mari had just had her second major surgery. We really didn't have the money, but I said, God, like, if this is of you, help me. And I was
mm,
literally shaking, like, no joke, because it was a $4,000 bill and I had to buy the airplane ticket, and it was $5,000 nut that we had to pay. So we paid it, and but if I would have never gone, I would have never tasted my goal. I would have never put myself
mm.
in the environment. I'll never forget going into this conference, and I met my first author for the first time. This gentleman, I didn't even know who he was. And I thought to myself, how awesome would it be to write a book? So God planted that seed in me at that conference. When I came back, I started getting quotes, and I'm like, I'm never going to write a book because there was I had never invested that in myself.
Mm.
So at the time, the quotes I was getting were like $7,000, $10,000. And then I gave up and I said, you know what? Then this gentleman called me out of the blue. He goes, you know what, man? We can help you with your book. And it was God. It was definitely, I still had to pay thousands, right? But it wasn't as many thousands. But if it wasn't for that, I would have been never becoming who I am now today.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Such an amazing story. And how you guys took something and you've turned it around into something beautiful. Beautiful beauty from ashes, right? And
Yes.
so, and I also love how you were talking about investing in yourself. And so that is the number one thing that I've also learned is that if nobody else is going to invest in us, like we have to invest in ourselves first before anybody else is going to invest in us, right? And so, just taking that step of faith and in faith and just saying, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my goal. And then how the seeds just kind of keep getting planted and they just keep evolving and growing and that's awesome. And so, what are some of the things that what would you say is the best business advice that you've ever been given?
I think you kind of answered that already. It's right, invest in yourself.
Mm,
Why? Because never stop learning.
mm,
The best business advice is never stop learning. People, we all I talk about it in the book, right? We have a financial thermostat.
mm,
So if you're used to making $100,000 a year, most entrepreneurs get stuck at 100,000. And
mm,
then the associations that they have, right? The conversations that they have are $100,000 conversations. So your business is never going to grow. You're never going to grow if you keep on hanging around with $100,000 people. There's nothing wrong with
mm,
that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. but you got to start having conversations with some millionaires, some multimillionaires. And when you put yourself in that arena of vibration, of energy, of wisdom, it's totally different. And what do I mean by that? A good example, because I don't want people to take me wrong, because not that we're better than anybody, but just the conversations, the thinking is different at higher levels. When I was a kid, we never talk about, right? All we talked about is layaway, and I can't afford that.
Mm.
And people are saying, what's layaway? Well, layaway is when you put something away at the store, at Walmart. They have it sometimes still for Christmas. You can't afford to pay the whole toy. I used to like to buy Hot Wheels. So my parents would put stuff in layaway, and they'd be like, okay, we'll get it in Christmas. And we would put it in layaway 3 months before to get it out for Christmas. Those are the conversations we had. And then you meet other people. And now my life, I tell my grandson, hey, Mr. Millionaire, how you doing? Hey, Mr. Millionaire. And then I even give him this $1 million bill, right, to plant the seeds. I'm like, here you go. And he's like, hey, Grandpa, I'm a millionaire, right? So it's a different conversation,
Awesome.
because you're helping the legacy of your family to change. And then conversations that you have here where you're talking about, oh, the good old times, oh, when things used to be. No, if you're hanging around with friends and people and family members that talk 75% of the past,
Mm.
you need new relationships. You should be talking 75% about the future. And I think that that's what I love about hanging around with next level people, because they challenge me to dream bigger. Even the success that we've had, I'm like, I get comfortable. I'm telling you, but no, like, push yourself. And so it's very, very crucial that you never stop learning. To answer your question, never stop learning. And that requires you to continuously invest in yourself, Rachel, because there's always another level inside of us.
Yeah, so good. And I love how you just said about the 75%. We should be looking 75% into the future, not 75% in the back. And that frequency and those conversations that you have at a higher level, like you said, it's nice to have conversations with people like that when you have conversations about the big dream and the big picture of what's next, what could happen next. And I know I've heard this several times, and I've heard you say it on stage about the 5 people that you're hanging out with. And
Yes.
I like the quote of show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And that's exactly what you're doing, is investing in yourself, putting yourself into spots that you can grow. So like you said, you're content, you're good where but you want more. And if you want to leave that imprint into the world, then you can't just sit back where you're at. You have to keep on moving. And how awesome is it that you're already instilling those beliefs into your grandson at such a young age of you're a millionaire. And because our belief systems, like when we were younger, mine was similar to yours as well. And so what a shift in the generations that's
Yes.
coming up is you're already planting those seeds into him to already crush those limiting beliefs. Not he's not gonna be like, what, like, wow, wait, like he's like, but no. So
Yeah,
that's
and
so
I
awesome.
think the question is, how big of a mark do you want to leave, right?
Mm,
Ladies and gentlemen, how big of a mark do you want to leave in this world? And the answer to that is, there's no mark too big. Just make it
mm,
bigger and bigger. And it doesn't come from a selfish, greedy, ambitious side of me or anybody. I want to challenge you to answer this, right? How big of a mark can you leave where you can really make an impact globally to help other people, to encourage other people? And because it takes money, right? It takes money, it takes finances, and sometimes people, they don't realize that, hey, when you're doing this, it's gonna take not just $1, $10. It's gonna take thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions sometimes, for whatever that dream that God's given you. And it's just amazing when you're able to go out there and really make impact and share it with people. It's like,
mm,
people need to stop thinking, I just want to leave a, no, I want to leave a huge mark, right? I want to leave a huge mark on the world where people are going to know that, hey, Rachel Best was here. How do I know? Because
mm.
I see the globe, right? The global impact. Daniel Gomez Inspired was here. How do you know? Because many people came for a secular event, and they left knowing Jesus, and they left with a different
Wow.
you know, I think of all the people that have come to our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, and Jesse Cruz left 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and right, his heart was unlocked, his heart was healed, and now he's doing events. And then I think about Tony Potter that left, and then he's doing amazing things, right? Making 60, 70,000 because of Sticker Shock as a side hustle, right? As a professional speaker, Tony Potter. So when you come to Sticker Shock, it really changes your belief system. Jen Hardy was just here yesterday. She's having event after event, and just seeing the action that, right? And me and Marty were talking about it, like, we wonder who's going to be the superstar that comes out of Sticker Shock this time. And look, lo and behold, Rachel Best comes out, and she's like, I want to do my podcast now. I want to do this now. But it's that time for you to really just fly, and that's what it's about, is seeing all these people leave a global impact. And it's beautiful, right? Because you really have to change the association sometimes. And the best investment in the world, ladies and gentlemen, is you.
Yeah. Yeah. Your events have changed my life. Your going to Sticker Shock a few months ago, and then going to Sticker Shock just recently, because that kind of awakens me to, wow, like I can get paid to speak. How awesome is that? I can do a side hustle and make good money. And so, that kind of sparked an interest. And then going back again, it just even stirred up even more. So I think you planted the seed, because I really didn't know what to expect the first time. And so, you guys, if you ever have interest in speaking or writing a book, this man is the man, because him and his wife, they are so amazing at what they do. And like I said, just they have the tools to hand you. What you do with the tools is up to you. But you, Daniel, have amazing tools to help people go where they want to go. And like I said, you have such belief in people, and you never give up on them. And you just keep showing, you do reflect the love of Jesus, and just wanting to care for people. And so I'm so grateful for your event and your Sticker Shock. And I've read I went through the Millionaire Mindset course, and I can't wait to go to the boot camp for that. I'm sad that I have a conflict in November, or October.
So let me ask you this: since you've been through the course, what's been the biggest? What was something you took away from the course as you were going through the course, the Millionaire Mind course?
The affirmations. I have three pieces of paper of affirmations, and to like embody, like as I speak them out loud, and just to embody them. And so, there's so many different things in there. The forgiveness. I remember walking around, and when I was listening to that one, and I was like, okay, who's the first person that pops into my head, and forgive them. And each time you go through the module and also the course, I like how you have them together, and it's amazing. So I actually just restarted it again. So I'm sure I'll have a different outcome this time than I did the first time.
Well, I see the difference in you. Look, I mean, just now you speak with confidence. Now you speak, and it's just, that's what it's about. That's what leaving your mark's about, Rachel. Is when you see the growth in people, and even this past Sticker Shock that we were in San Antonio, we had two people that came back from the original one that were there, Titus, you and Trent. They were at the very, very first one, which was like 6 of them ago. And we were just there talking, and they're like, man, this was like next level, Daniel. And I'm like, yeah. But then this is the key I want your audience to hear. Trent goes, well, yeah, Daniel, because you've grown. And that's what happens when you don't grow, your business doesn't grow. When you don't grow, your events don't grow. When you don't grow, nothing grows around you. You're the catalyst for the growth. And that's why it's important to continue to learn. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And he goes, just the quality of people are just amazing at the Sticker Shock. And maybe you can attest to that. And it's not that, right? Not that, like I said, not that anybody's better, but it's just a different level of thinking, a different level of people dreaming, like, right? I think what you said is so huge, right? It's a difference of knowing what to do, but doing it, right? You have to do it. And I think that's what people that do it, there's just a different aura about them than just people talking about wanting to do it. Because like you said, we give people the tools, and nothing breaks my heart more, Rachel, when we give somebody the tools and they don't do anything with it. And it's like, what happened? But you can't force people to do it, right? I couldn't force you to do something when you're not ready. But when you're ready, look, you're blossoming. So you just got to be patient. I think your audience needs to understand that if you're a coach, if you're somebody out there that's mentoring, guiding, leading people, one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of leaders make is they're impatient. They want the results today. And it takes people time sometimes to really believe in themselves, to where they really say, this is possible for me. I can do this. I can be part of this team. I can be part of this organization, or I can make a difference. Whatever that dream and that vision is for you, if you're leading people some way, somehow, be patient with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think it all goes back to that inner junk. You got to get rid of that inner junk. That's where I was. I had to get rid of that inner junk before I could, come to here. And so, what is it? Tell us, what is one of your favorite scriptures or a quote that you really lean on, that you really like?
For me, I always lean on, with God, all things are possible. Whenever I think that it's impossible, it says, with God, all things are possible, because it helps me to believe that it's possible for me. It's possible for me. Sometimes right now we're being challenged by God to take our boot camp internationally, right? To take it across the country. I've never had an event outside of San Antonio. And so when I was ordering our new stage, they had a little, like they had a hard case, right? Like a suitcase. And I was like, I knew God said, buy the case. I'm like, I don't want to buy the case. It's like, buy the case. It was like $700, but it's a case to travel, right? If I travel on the plane, I put it in a suitcase made for the stage, and we ship it. But I knew that if I buy it, that it's like God is challenging me. And so I was like, okay, but it's with God, all things are possible. So by faith, I'm buying the stage, because we have to put the intention out there. So that's one of them. And the other one is this: when you give yourself to the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart, right? Delight yourself in the Psalms 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And I think sometimes whenever I feel like, can this dream really happen for Daniel Gomez Inspires? It's like, when you delight yourself in God, He'll give you the desires of your heart. So I think those are two when I get overwhelmed, or I just want to reflect, and I just really just meditate on those and chew on that. So those really help me in times of adversity, or times that I need to really just reflect and go deeper within myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you definitely reflect a lot of Jesus, and you bring people to Jesus all the time. I love being at that event, all your events, and you just lay your hands on people, and I'm sure God is looking at you, and He is so proud of you. And so, so tell us how, if people want to get connected with you, how can they get connected, and share a little bit, when is your boot camp for your Millionaire Mind course?
Yeah, so yes, thank you. So November 18th and 19th here in San Antonio, Texas, November 18th and 19th at the Norris Conference Center, the Makings of a Millionaire Mind Boot Camp. 2 amazing days where we're really going to go deep in you. Just imagine a life with no financial stress, a life where you and your wife, your husband are not arguing about money, and also a life where maybe you're stuck in business. Your business grows another 25, 30, 50% in revenue. So it's going to be a 2-day event here in San Antonio, the Makings of a Millionaire Mind Boot Camp here November 18th and 19th. It's going to be transformational. It's going to impact you, and really it's going to significantly change your life. So we want to welcome all your audience. Go to the makings of a millionairemind.com, and you can get our course there also. And what I'll do for your audience is we have a $500 scholarship that we can offer. So mention this podcast, and we'll give you a $500 scholarship to save on the course. So you'll save $500 with that. We'll see if you qualify, but we're going to qualify automatically because you're on Rachel's show. And then our brand is Daniel Gomez Inspires. That's what we use on IG and all over the different social media platforms. But I want to hear from your audience. If they go to danielgomezglobal.com, that's danielgomezglobal.com, send me a message through our website, and we want to give your audience a complimentary 45-minute discovery session.
Very nice. Very
and
nice.
Get your book. on Amazon.
Yes, get your book. My books are out there. I should have brought them in here. They're out there. But yes, definitely get a hold of this guy. You're gonna want to go to his course and just even start following him on Facebook. That's how him and I got connected. I started following him on Facebook and he inspired me, and then things just happened. So all God. But there was one last thing I was gonna say and now I forget what it was. But anyways, Daniel, we thank you so much for all your amazing nuggets of information and just your inspiration and just sharing your heart today. And I look forward to having you again in the future. And I look forward to seeing how people come and reach out to you, and hopefully they'll come to your course. So
Yes, well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for having me on your show. You're doing amazing, and we're honored to be part of your life. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with this. If God can take stinky old mold, green stinky old mold, and turn it into penicillin that's good for the body, what can God not do in your life if you give him a space and a place to help you and guide you? Put God first, and I promise you, you'll never be last.
Amen. Very good. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate you taking your time today and sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Goodbye,
Yes.
everybody.
Bye-bye. This is your host, Rachel Best, and I hope you loved the show. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as well as share with a friend. If you would like, you can follow me on Instagram as well as Facebook under Rachel Best. You can also find me on my website at rachelbestspeaks.com.